Lifestyle in northern Thailand is pretty awesome. I've been living here at the base of Doi Inthanon, about an hour south of Chiang Mai, with my wife, our dogs and our bird for about 6 years now, and I love it. Hi, I'm Kevin LJ. I'm a New Zealander and I've been living in Thailand for about 21 years now. I moved here in 2002 and most of that time I've been living in Chiang Mai, but about 7 or 8 years ago we kind of started getting ideas about moving out of town and buying some property and building somewhere, and that's exactly what we did. So 6 years ago our property here didn't exist. It was just, well, it was bare land. It was a longan orchard when we bought it, and we did a bit of work and built a house, and this is where we've been living for about 5.5 years now. And it is quite something. It is really not a difficult place to live, and I quite often have guests. We run a little homestay here, and I quite often have foreign guests asking me about it. So I thought I'd share some stories on this YouTube channel about life in northern Thailand, in particular living out here in a rural environment. What I'm looking at here as I'm talking to you is my neighbour's rice fields, and then further up to the mountains it's Doi Inthanon National Park. We've got a little chetty sitting out there to remind us that we're in Thailand, and it is just lovely. It is such a nice environment to live. I've actually never lived anywhere so friendly in all my life. This is one of the things that people ask me about. So I like living down here out in the middle of nowhere, and as a foreigner, how do I get on? How do people treat me? And it's just wonderful. I've never lived anywhere so friendly in all my life. The neighbours are really friendly. There's no one particularly close to us. The village is a couple of 100 metres up the road. But whenever we have interactions with people here, it's usually pretty chill and pretty interesting. And even though my Thai language skills are lacking, the people are patient with me, and we always find some way of communicating what we need to share about and talk about together. And yeah, like I said, people ask me about living here and about life in rural areas of Thailand, and it is pretty good, really. Some of the key things that we looked at before we bought the property that we knew were essential were, of course, the electricity and the water supply, and there's no problem with either of those. And also, for me, what was really vital was the internet. You've got to have an internet connection. And at the time, there was an ADSL line running out here. So I thought, okay, that's going to be a step backwards than the fibre optic connection that I had in Chiang Mai that I really liked. But by the time we were able to get connected, by the time we were given our address number and can go and apply for an internet connection, the companies were already running cable out here. So fibre optic cable was out here, and we were able to get really good high-speed internet. So we've got to enjoy that as well. Yeah, we did live in Chiang Mai. I lived there for about 16 years before we moved down here. And I tell people, yeah, I used to love living in Chiang Mai. It's a great place to live. But having moved out of town, out of the city, I've been kind of keen to get to a rural lifestyle for quite some time. And we wanted to open a guest house, a little homestay. So we've found that this is a great place to do it. And just an hour south of Chiang Mai. It's an easy drive. It's before we really get up into the mountains, so there's no sort of difficult, sort of windy roads. Mostly if you're heading out of Chiang Mai, you're going to hit the mountains pretty quickly. But coming south from Chiang Mai and tuning off at Chom Tong, we're just a short distance in from there, and it's really easy to get to. So when we do need to go back into the city, if we need to do some business in Chiang Mai or whatever we're doing in Chiang Mai, it's an easy hour's drive or so into town to pick stuff up or to connect with friends or whatever we want to do. Initially, we found this location, this general area down here through a Facebook ad that someone had advertised some land for sale. And so we came to look at the land. It's a piece a little bit further down from us, and we loved it, we wanted to buy it, but we couldn't raise a mortgage in time. So somebody else bought that plot of land. So at the time I said to my wife, why don't you just head back down to that area and talk to some of the locals? We weren't really happy with the land agent that we'd dealt with initially and wanted to move away from that. So I suggested to my wife, just go and talk to the local people, have a look and see if you can ask them if they know of anybody that's got any land for sale. Because when we came down that initial time, people stopped and asked us what we were doing, and they were super friendly. So I thought, oh, this would be a good opportunity to see, just by word of mouth, if there's anybody that's got some land that they'd like to sell. And that's exactly what happened. So my wife came down here, and with her mum, she started asking a couple of people, and with a couple of hours, she had called me back and said, I've found a piece of land that I want to buy. It's absolutely gorgeous, and that's where we are now. So we've been here, as I said, about 6 years, and had built the house originally. Then we built this little cottage here so we could have a couple more rooms to accommodate guests. And it has been quite an amazing experience so far. One of the most common things that we hear from people who come to visit, especially if they've only stayed for one night, is that they wish they'd stayed, they wish they'd booked for a little bit longer and stayed for a longer period of time. And other people that do stay for longer, they're always kind of reluctant to leave, in a sense, because it is really lovely here. It's really peaceful, and we love sharing that. We love it that people can come here and relax. One of the first guests that we had after the COVID break, it was certainly the first international guest that we had to come and stay with us, was a German guy. He'd been holed up in his apartment in Berlin, and had so many restrictions that it was so difficult to travel and to even move about the city, that when he came here, he'd driven himself here. He had a rental car, he parked it at the top of the drive, and that's where it stayed for the 4 days that he was here. He wasn't really interested in driving anywhere. He just wanted to come and stop and relax. He went out jogging, he went out walking, he sat and read a book and just enjoyed the peaceful environment and soaked it up and made the most of it. And when he left, he had a big smile on his face. He'd enjoyed his time here so much. Yeah, living rurally is a little bit different than living in Chiang Mai, and I had some concerns about moving down here as a foreigner, and my wife as a non-local person. She's from Tak province, which is about halfway between Bangkok and Chiang Mai. And so we were really moving into a small community that is very local, and we're not very local. But even as we were building the house, the first time my wife had to go up and see the headman in the local village, he said, you know, if you're out in your garden and working and somebody's coming past and stops to have a conversation, you stop and have a chat with them. And if there's something happening in the village or up at the temple, you come and join in. And when somebody dies, you come along to the funeral. You're part of our community. And so right from the outset, we've felt very welcomed here. And certainly as we've built relationship with the neighbours, it's been really enjoyable. Even with my lack of Thai language, my poor quality Thai language, these guys around us are pretty patient with me, and we always manage to communicate okay. And so living in a rural environment for us has been no problem at all. We've got enough close by down in Chom Tong town. We've got everything mostly that we need for our day-to-day existence. And if we are needing anything, Chiang Mai is only about an hour's drive away. I've got a background in photography. I've been a photographer for most of my working career. I've also done quite a lot of video production, and I like a good story. So I'm really a visual storyteller, and I thought, well, I've got a few stories under my belt about living in northern Thailand, and the number of questions I get about it, about lifestyle here and living here as a foreigner. I thought I'd start this YouTube channel to share some of my experiences, some of my stories, and just have a bit of fun, and hopefully you'll find it interesting to keep track of what we're doing down here and learn a little bit more about life in Thailand in a rural northern community, a rural northern situation. And so, yeah, I've got plans to talk about the things that happen around us. I've got to make a video shortly about the rice growing season, because it is a highly underrated part of northern Thai existence. A lot of people don't come during the rainy season because they think, oh, it's going to rain all the time, but it doesn't actually rain all the time. And one of the most beautiful things about it is the rice, and it so transforms the whole landscape into this lush green environment that is so full of life. I know the Karen people who mainly live up in the mountains, they're also growing rice, and they have a saying that rice is life. Without rice, they can't live. And certainly it is something that is such a huge part of the focus of the local people here. Most of the land around us is rice, but there's also a lot of orchards. There's mainly longan orchards. This land here that we own was a longan orchard when we bought it. And also they grow other fruits and plant other vegetables and stuff as well. Across here on the other side of the rice, there's mangoes growing, and there's some beautiful fruit being produced on those trees. I love mango season in Thailand. I will also look to share some videos about the experience that we had as we were building our home, which was really quite a positive experience. We really didn't have any major headaches with it at all. And I would really like to share that, because I know a lot of people ask me about that. A lot of people are interested to know how difficult was it to build out here basically in the middle of nowhere, and certainly a different style of house than any of the local ones are too. So this is my intention, this is my heart, to be able to share with people, to encourage people who either are looking to come to live in Thailand, or maybe who are already here and looking for a little bit of a different lifestyle. And so I hope you will enjoy these videos and keep watching. Thanks for joining me.